For centuries, the prophets of the Old Testament spoke of a coming Messiah. What if I told you that Jesus of Nazareth fulfilled over 300 of these prophecies, an unmatched feat in all of history? Stay with us as we uncover the undeniable proof that Jesus is the promised Messiah. In the ancient world, the idea of a virgin birth was as unfathomable as it is today. Yet the prophet Isaiah, over 700 years before the birth of Jesus, wrote, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel." Isaiah 7-14. This prophecy, etched in time, became a divine marker, a beacon pointing towards the coming Messiah. And then, in a humble stable in Bethlehem, the impossible happened. The Gospel of Matthew tells us, "The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel," which means God with us. Matthew 1-23. This was the fulfillment of a prophecy, a testament to the divine nature of the child born that night. Micah, another prophet who lived centuries before Jesus, pinpointed the birthplace of the Messiah with astonishing accuracy. He wrote, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times." Micah 5-2. Bethlehem, a small, seemingly insignificant town, held within its borders the promise of a king. Centuries later, the Roman Emperor, Caesar Augustus, issued a decree that a census be taken of the entire Roman world. And so, in a humble stable, in the very town foretold by the prophet Micah, the King of Kings was born. The lineage of Jesus is meticulously documented in the Gospels, tracing his ancestry back to King David, the greatest king of Israel. Prophecy demanded it, and the scriptures were clear about the importance of this lineage. Centuries before Jesus' birth, God made a covenant with King David, promising him an everlasting dynasty. This covenant was a cornerstone of Jewish faith and hope. 2 Samuel 7:12-13 reads, "When your days are over and you rest with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, your own flesh and blood, and I will establish his kingdom." This passage was a beacon of hope for generations. "He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever." This promise was not just for David, but for all his descendants. This promise echoed through the halls of history, fueling the hopes of the Jewish people. It was a promise that sustained them through trials and tribulations. The Gospel of Matthew opens with these words, a record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham, Matthew 1-1. This introduction sets the stage for the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. Matthew then meticulously lists the generations from Abraham to Jesus, establishing an undeniable link to King David. This genealogy was crucial in affirming Jesus' rightful place in Jewish history. This was destiny unfolding, prophecy being fulfilled before the very eyes of those who had waited generations for their king. The arrival of Jesus was the culmination of centuries of hope and divine promise. The prophet Isaiah foretold the heartbreaking reality that the Messiah, the one sent to save his people, would be rejected by them. Isaiah 53:3 paints a picture of a suffering servant, despised and rejected. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. Despite his miracles, his teachings, his compassion, he was met with resistance, disbelief, and ultimately hatred. Jesus' rejection was not a failure of prophecy, but a fulfillment of it. It was a stark reminder of the human condition, our capacity to turn away from even the purest love. The prophet Zechariah provided a chillingly specific detail about the coming Messiah's betrayal. "And I said to them, if you think it good, give me my wages, but if not, forbear. So they weighed out for my wages 30 pieces of silver." Zechariah 11:12. Matthew 26:14-15 tells us, "Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, 'What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?' So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. Think about the specificity of this prophecy. Judas, one of Jesus' closest companions, willingly betrayed him for the price of a slave. This act of betrayal, as heartbreaking as it was, served as a stark fulfillment of prophecy. Isaiah wrote, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, a symbol of innocence and sacrifice. And as a sheep before its shearers is silent, showing no resistance, so he did not open his mouth." Isaiah 53 verse 7. This prophecy foretold the coming of a Savior who would endure suffering without protest. When he was arrested and brought before his accusers, the prophecy began to unfold. Falsely charged and unjustly condemned, Jesus remained silent, embodying the prophecy. Matthew 27 verses 12 to 14 tells us, "When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer, maintaining his composure. Then Pilate asked him, 'Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?' Pilate was perplexed by his silence. But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Pilate had never seen such resolve. His silence was not a sign of weakness, but of strength, a profound statement of his mission. It was a fulfillment of prophecy, a testament to his willingness to endure suffering for the sake of others. This act of silent endurance was a powerful message to all who witnessed it. It was a testament to his willingness to endure suffering for the sake of others, fulfilling the ancient prophecies and demonstrating his ultimate sacrifice. Centuries before the Roman practice of crucifixion, King David, in Psalm 22, prophesied the very method of the Messiah's death. "They pierce my hands and my feet." The Gospel of Luke confirms the fulfillment of this prophecy. Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." This was no random act of violence, but a divinely ordained sacrifice, a testament to the depth of God's love for humanity. Isaiah wrote, "He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth." Isaiah 53:9. Matthew 27:57-60 tells us, "As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock." Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy member of the Sanhedrin, offered his own tomb for Jesus' burial. Jesus, though he lived a life of poverty, was buried in a rich man's tomb, a testament to the unexpected ways in which God's plans unfold. The prophet Hosea wrote, "After 2 days he will revive us. On the third day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence." Hosea 6:2. The Gospel of Luke confirms the fulfillment of this prophecy. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. An angel appears and declares, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen." Luke 24:5-6. The resurrection of Jesus was the ultimate fulfillment of prophecy, the cornerstone of the Christian faith. Just as Jesus fulfilled the prophecies of his first coming, the scriptures are filled with prophecies about his glorious return. These prophecies are not just vague predictions, but detailed accounts of what is to come. Zechariah 14:4 speaks of a time when, on that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, a monumental event that will change the landscape forever, with half the mountain moving north and half moving south. This dramatic transformation signifies the power and majesty of the Messiah. This is no ordinary event. It is a divine intervention that will be witnessed by all. Matthew 24:30 tells us, "Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. This sign will be unmistakable, a beacon for all to see. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. His return will be a moment of awe and reverence. This time, he will not come as a humble servant, but as a conquering king, coming to judge the living and the dead. His judgment will be just and righteous. The question is, are you ready? Are you prepared for the return of the Messiah in all his glory? The evidence is undeniable. Jesus is the fulfillment of God's promises, meticulously woven into the very fabric of history. From his miraculous birth to his triumphant resurrection, his life was a symphony of fulfilled prophecy. Until next time, stay rooted in the truth.